Hey everyone, Kaiser02 here, and today I decided to review one of the greatest Dragon Ball Z fighting games ever, Dragon Ball FighterZ. This game was made by Arc System, and when it comes to Arc System, they're known for making amazing fighting game series. First is Guilty Gear, released back in 1998 for the PlayStation. A game with great graphics, tight gameplay, and a confusing yet enjoyable story. Then there's also BlazBlue, first released in 2008 for the PlayStation 3, which honestly has all the great things as in Guilty Gear, but with its own separate story, unique different characters, and different game mechanics. It makes it an enjoyable series without riding on the coattails of Guilty Gear. But that's not all. They're also known for making the great Persona 4 Arena series, along with Under 9 Birth, the Arcane Heart series, and Chaos Code, just to name a few. Now when it comes to Arc System, making Dragon Ball Z games, they're no strangers to the series. They also made Extreme Pluton for the 3DS, Supersonic Warriors 1 and 2 for the Game Boy Advance. Another Dragon Ball Z series for the PS4 is Dragon Ball Xenoverse 1 and 2. And while I can't say they look great and are great games to play, I can't really give much of an opinion because I've never played these games before. I'm not even playing the game right now, this is just my brother. He's actually played this a lot because, again, I don't know how to play this game. Now, I'm a big fan of Dragon Ball Z and fighting games, so this is a dream come true. And today, I'll be going over everything in the game. Now, without further ado, let's play.
You're a fool to fight Omnipotent!
The first thing I wanted to talk about in Dragon Ball FighterZ was the roster. Now when you first look at this roster, you think, man, that is pretty small. When you compare it to games like Raging Blast 2, which has over 100 characters, Tenkaichi 3, which has 98 characters in 160 forms, and Xenoverse 2 with 126 characters, you look at FighterZ and you think, this game only has 24 characters so far. Sounds like a disappointment, right? Well, I don't think so. At first I thought the roster was bad simply because of how many characters there were. And that's when I realized what's wrong with most fighting games based on Dragon Ball Z. The roster can be too big sometimes. In games like Battle of Gods, sure, yes, technically it does have over 70 characters, but most of those characters are just the transformations. And I get it, transformations are a big part of the series, but there is no excuse for that. But in games like Tenkaichi 3, they actually found a way to make it better. If you wanted a transformation for your character, you would just pick that character and then pick the transformation. And you can even transform back into normal in the middle of the fight. But what I like about this roster is quality over quantity. Because that's the problem. In most fighting games, or at least just Dragon Ball Z games, the roster's too big because there are too many useless characters. But in this game, all the characters are unique and fun to play as, and that's what makes it a great roster. And honestly, I don't really have much to say about the roster. I know it's short, but I can say that I really enjoy it. In the series known for having great animation and visuals, Arc System did an amazing job recreating the style of the anime in the 2.5D fashion. In older Dragon Ball Z fighting games, they had a great style, but they all seem to resemble the old days of Dragon Ball Z, which isn't bad, but you can tell where they got their inspiration from. But in more recent games, you can tell they're trying to stick more to Dragon Ball Super, and I think this is greatest in FighterZ. The visuals make you feel like you're playing the anime right before your eyes. This game is fast and flashy, which is what I want from a Dragon Ball Z game. With all the fast combat, ki blasts, energy waves, and destruction, it is very easy to get lost in this game. Another thing I like with this game's visuals is the stage transitions and destructive finishes. In older games like Raging Blast and the Tenkaichi series, you can see this aspect in those games. In those games, you would be able to smash your opponents through rocks and buildings during the fight. But it was never that satisfying. In FighterZ, however, it feels amazing to smash your opponent through a volcano while it explodes. As for characters, How they look in the game looks identical to how they look in the anime. The animations they have, their expressions in certain cutscenes, fit well with each character. The animation in certain cutscenes are also great, and I'm not just talking about in the story. Depending on which character you pick and which stage you pick, you can get shown a certain cutscene from a moment in the anime, like Goku turning Super Saiyan for the first time, or Gohan facing Cell after Android 16's death. The fact they took time to recreate these moments from the anime show they want this to be a great Dragon Ball Z gaming experience.
It's changing.
I will stop.
The soundtrack in FighterZ is freaking amazing. Not only is every stage theme beautifully composed by whoever made them, since a lot of people are having a hard time who made the songs in the first place, but the character themes are also fantastic, but I'll get to that in a bit. The weird thing with the soundtrack is that not only are the songs in different genres, but it also seems like they belong in completely different series, ranging from Guilty Gear to Tekken 7. But that doesn't make it a bad soundtrack at all. For character themes like Captain Ginyu and stage themes like Planet it seems like they would fit well into Guilty Gear. But not only are the stage themes unique, the character themes are also unique to the characters. For characters like Goku, it does seem like your average Dragon Ball Z song, but it's actually unique with a heroic theme to it, which makes it really great for this series. For characters like Kid Buu, or Majin Buu if you prefer, his theme seems like it would fit more into Tekken. And for characters like Hid, he actually has a jazz theme, which I didn't expect at first, but I really enjoy. A lot of Dragon Ball Z games usually stick very well with the original soundtrack from the anime, which isn't bad, but again, you can tell where they got their inspiration from. What I like about this soundtrack is that it takes a risk and it works. Because at first, it seems like it would be a mixed bag of different songs. But not only does it fit well with the game, it actually seems like it could fit well with the series. And that's why I like it so much. Next up is the story. Now, by the time you're watching this video, I wasn't actually going to review the story since I have only gotten to the Super Warriors arc. But after hearing my Uncle Kenny's opinions on it, I decided it would be a good thing to review it. The main story of the Super Warriors arc, at least, is that everybody seems to have lost their powers or in some way have been weakened. And there's this weird soul entity, which I'm guessing is you, the player, that helps them get stronger as you control them. Now, while that would have been great for just any episode in the series, it gets kind of weird because there's a new character that only belongs in the game, which is Android 21, aka Best Wifey. The thing is with her is that not only is she an android, but she's also a Majin, kind of like Majin Buu. And she's the main villain at least in this Super Warriors arc. Now here's the thing, this sounds like it would belong in an OVA, which, trust me, it really does. But that's not all. There's also these weird clones, or at least evil clones, of all the characters coming up and wreaking havoc. So it's up to you and all the other Dragon Ball Z warriors to stop them. Now again, it's pretty simple, at least for the first arc. I'm pretty sure it gets more interesting in some of the later arcs. That's all I've gotten to so far. The main thing with the story is that it's kind of like a board game system. You have limited amounts of movements you can go, so you can go to tutorials, fighting just the standard enemy, or rescuing some of your friends. These are all pretty much optional. And if you want to get to the next cutscene, next battle, just go to the main one. It's really simple. Another thing is that you can switch out characters and also gain XP to help you become stronger and level up. And that's all I really have to say about the story. My Uncle Kenny said that he doesn't like it because again it seems like it would fit more into an OVA. But as for the Super Warriors arc, I don't mind much. Now for the gameplay. The gameplay in FighterZ is the embodiment of the phrase simple to learn, hard to master. Like many Dragon Ball Z games, this is definitely a game you can pick up and play with your friends if you're a fan of Dragon Ball Z or a fan of fighting games. But if you're like me and you love both, you're dedicated to getting better at this game. In Dragon Ball FighterZ, all the characters are unique to experiment with to see who you're good with. For combos, they're really easy to pull off if you just keep pressing square, but you can pull off great combos if you learn the ropes, or if you play Guilty Gear. There are a lot of gameplay mechanics that make the game fun to play. This game puts Marvel vs. Capcom to shame. It's a 3-on-3 tag team battle, and it also works very similar to Marvel vs. Capcom 3 in many ways. You're able to switch out characters, call them in for assists, and combine special combos, and you're also able to perform massive air combos, like Marvel vs. Capcom, but enough about that. This game has a lot of different gameplay mechanics that make it different, like its Dragon Rush mechanic, a move that lets you rush down characters and launching them in the air, which can lead to more combos. But this game has one tiny little problem. There are no defensive options at all. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating. But yes, this game gives you little options for avoiding attacks. Sure, you can block and avoid some attacks, but this game has less defensive options than Street Fighter V. I know this is Dragon Ball and the whole point is that it has aggressive fight scenes, but you should at least get out of a combo. In other Arc System games like Blaze Blue for instance, there are different mechanics that let you get out of combos like bursts. But in this game you have no such luck. If you get caught in a combo, you cannot get out of it. You're just gonna have to sit there and take it. But besides that one little gripe of mine, and also my Uncle Kenny's, the gameplay in this is really solid and makes it a fun experience all around.
Yes, it's a return to the beginning.
So these were my thoughts on Dragon Ball FighterZ. And what do I think of it? If you couldn't tell, I love this game. I have such fond memories of watching the anime, thinking that it was just some cool western cartoon, and I also like Dragon Ball Super, which was a really good anime. The first Dragon Ball Z game I ever got actually was Budokai Tenkaichi 3, and it's still one of my favorites. My older brother also introduced me to the Budokai series, which, as I found out, is one of the most beloved Dragon Ball Z games out there. And even though I never played Xenoverse 2, I did have a fun time watching my brother play since he loves the game. As for Fighter Z, this is definitely a must-have if you're a fan of Dragon Ball Z or pretty much fighting games in general. It's been featured at EVO, a lot of people have Let's Played it and talked about it. I'm not the only one to review this game. My Uncle Kenny has reviewed it way before me. But I still decided to make this video to share my thoughts. The game is a must-have and is really one of the best games probably of 2018. And I have to say that Arc System was definitely a good producer to make this game, seeing they make great fighting games and are even making Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle, a game that my brother just cannot wait for. But back to Fighter Z. As I said before, I love this game. It has tight controls, it has memorable characters, great battle systems, and with the DLC of Bardock and Broly coming out as this video is going to be uploaded, I say this is definitely a game that you must have if you're an anime fan, Dragon Ball Z fan, or fighting game fan in general. So honestly, that's all I have to say. This is my first video, and even though I'm working with limited technology right now, I still had enough to make a review on a game that I personally love. This is a game that I can play with anyone, and I can tell that we can all have a good time. So that's all I have to say. Thank you for watching. I'll be sure to upload some more videos soon. With that, I have to say goodbye. Thank you for watching.